Hey everybody, welcome back to my Pokemon Crystal walkthrough. I'm your host, DeoGenZ, and we're going down Route 42, headed east towards Mahogany Town. Now there are a couple of ways you can go about it. I see Suicune! Unfortunately, we don't have a Pokemon that knows Cut, and these trees can be headbutt, but we cannot headbutt them out of the way to see Suicune. Just real quick, let's double check that statement, make sure that I don't actually have any Pokemon that can use Cut. Nope, I don't want to teach Quilava Cut. It's just not worth wasting a move space. But, yes, this is Mount Mortar. We'll be getting into greater detail later in the episode. But if you go on this surfing path, just keep going east and go past this pond here, past the Super Potion, you will be in Mahogany Town relatively quickly. So if you're in a rush to get through Pokemon Crystal, doing a speed run or something like that, I recommend taking this path here. And also, yep, lots of Goldines, and even sometimes Sea King, can be found out in these ponds. Now, getting to the crux of what this episode is going to be about, exploring Mount Mortar. I realized that in my original LP of Heart Gold, when I went over Mount Mortar, it had to be all chopped up into 2 episodes because, at the time, I was worried about the 15-minute time limit. And even though you'll see this particular video does not supersede that limit, I don't have to worry about cutting trainer battles, so you guys can expect a lot more commentary and a lot more Pokemon Crystal Classic action. I know a lot of you are probably bummed out now that Pokemon Prism had to come to such an abrupt end after just like, what, 16 episodes? Really not that long of an LP, but it is just a beta technically. So I don't want you people to fret thinking all the Gameboy Color glory is gone from DeoGenZ's channel. Ha ha ha, never fear, Crystal is here. Yeah, it kinda sucks that this project has been lagging so much. Now I can finally focus on it, what with my other LPs being pretty much done. I mean, you don't know it, but Mad World's all recorded, Metroid Other M is mostly recorded. I just still have to do some syncing of audio and video clips, but for the most part it's done so I can focus on Crystal. And the only unfortunate thing is my internet connection, or the lack thereof, because I cannot post consistently back in the days when I had Fios. But still, at least when content does appear on the channel, you can expect it to be more consistent. I've noticed Vlad having some trouble uploading videos lately, though, because he's been enjoying the no-limit time limit for our YouTube videos here on the channel, and he's been making 20-minute Minecraft videos, which take quite a long time to upload. It, yeah, takes a chunk out of your day, and sometimes sitting in between classes, it's hard to upload both of our sets of content. You know, my episodes that go up in 10-minute segments, they go faster up onto the streams of YouTube. But those 20-minute chunks, crazy. Okay, so now we get to experience normal speed Slowpoke battle. Who is the slowest of them all? Look, we're going to make this just like the Metapod battle in the first season of Pokemon, when Ash had to fight that other guy in the woods with Metapod, and all they just used was Harden. Metapod, Harden! Be harder! You're not hard enough! Get even harder! You know, if you didn't know any better and you just removed the imagery, you could have taken that as a disturbing pornography. You're still not hard enough! You can get harder! Nope, nope, just a Pokemon battle. Nothing pornographic about it. Yes, the early days of Pokemon. Such chortles. I do wonder what the seasons are up to these days, because I don't follow Black and White, the anime at least. And I'm just starting to get over calling the 5th generation by their Japanese names. I tell you, you ever want to remember the wrong names for Pokemon, or at least remember the names that are not in your language, then do a Let's Play of that game, of a main Pokemon RPG, when it's only in Japan. Yeah, the import may be costly, but hey, you can mistake all the names, saying, let's see, which one, Wuteri? Oh, I don't even know that guy's name. Uteri. Oh, that's what it is. It's like Lillipup, right? Yeah. So you can see I'm still having trouble with the 5th gen, but 2nd generation, it's probably my favorite. Nidoking! Because they had awesome sprites like this. It was really strange for me because I actually started out with Pokemon Crystal rather than most people starting out with Red, Blue, and Yellow, the Game Boy Color games, or just Game Boy games, in fact. The actual color that was then later overlaid onto them was just kind of a screen of red, green, as you moved from one town to the other. It wasn't integrated colors like Crystal, Gold, and Silver. So when I went back in time, I thought the game was broken or something. I was like, wait a second, why aren't the Pokemon moving when they come out of their balls? These don't even look like Pidgeys. And where's all the color? What did you do to my red cartridge? Because I was always under the impression, oh, it's a Game Boy Color game, that means there's color in it. Not like Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Yep, that's one of the great reasons 2nd gen really sits up there at first place for me. Plus, there's that whole thing about having 2 regions in one game that I just absolutely love. And thinking back to Fire Red and Leaf Green, or thinking ahead because that came after Crystal, but it's back in time in our timeline. Oh, so many timelines to keep track of. But Fire Red and Leaf Green attempted to let you go to alternate regions, but they were kind of like mini regions. Not really full, it was just the Sevi Islands, and they were small islands that you could go to by taking boats. And I thought it was a very cool concept, I did, but still, it does not top being able to travel to a different type of Kanto than we're used to seeing. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but let's just say that the world of Kanto has changed a little since the days of Red, Blue, and Yellow, which this game is supposed to take directly after. And I like seeing that time progression in Pokemon. I like seeing towns being a little weathered. I like seeing some different characters being in different places. Ones with familiar faces that we've maybe battled in the past, like great champion matches, but now they're just hanging around Kanto. But we're not there yet. Get lost! We're still in Johto. Apparently this guy doesn't want us to be in Johto, though. He's like, yeah, get out of here. Go to Kanto. This is my secret cave. Not such a secret when you're standing right next to the door. Alright, so a lot of Nidokings, Nidoqueens, Nidorenas, and things of that nature around this route. All very simple for Slowpoke to take out. Finally, we're seeing Prince Dozo be powerful now, and we don't have to keep switching him in and out like the earlier days of this walkthrough, where he was just gaining experience points so he could maybe eventually learn a useful move, like Confusion. Hopefully in the future we get to teach him Psychic, but for now, Confusion works well. If you didn't know, Nidorino and Nidorina are not only ground, but poison-type Pokemon. And you could definitely tell with Nidorino. Maybe you wouldn't tell that from Nidorina. I don't know, maybe a noob trainer says, oh, blue Pokemon, obviously, it's a water type. I've known that to happen sometimes with noob players asking me questions, but you could tell that from Nidorino because he's purple, like purple poisony goo. Just like Arbok. And yeah, you should have used the Moonstone. That's funny, we faced people in that cave who only had Nidoking, only had Nidoqueen, and now we have the guy who has both of their pre-evolutions, but was too stubborn to use a Moonstone. Or maybe too afraid. He was not ready for the ultimate power of Nidoking and Queen together. If you go back and read some of the manga that has been produced for the first generation too, when Red is exploring the Safari Zone, and they get into the behavioral patterns of Nidokings and Nidoqueens, they are freaking vicious, man. I don't think you'd want to keep them together on your team, because the Nidoking would instantly pop out anytime a Nidoqueen comes out on the field, sort of like Wobbuffet in the anime, Jesse's Pokemon, just popping out into battle whenever it so chooses. But yeah, I mean, they're vicious. They spend their whole life in the Safari Zone, at least in that manga. I know I switch on and off between the two ways of speaking it, but I'm not quite sure which is the right pronunciation, so comment away. But they just battle it out all day and all night, just trying to get some Nidoqueen admiration, let's just say. So, if they were to be on the same team, it might not work out well. What? That's not right. I think it's perfectly right. And you know what will be even cooler, thinking back to my Slowpoke finally getting good. It's up in the 30s. I'm not too sure right off the top of my head when Slowbro comes about in evolution, but I have a feeling it's like level 35 or something. I don't know, I just have a sneaking suspicion. But aside from having Confusion, which is a great naturally learned move, you have such a benefit of using Slowpoke, getting it from the Slowpoke's well early on in Azalea Town like we did, because it may look like a dopey Pokemon in the beginning that gets its tail chopped off and doesn't even notice if anybody's munching on it while it's even still attached. But its evolution, and the fact that by Ecruteak City you can have a powerful Surf move on the Pokemon, you know, not only grants you greater mobility in Johto region and everywhere else you go, but allows Slowpoke at this early unevolved stage to have a top-tier move. Normally you would think about giving that to maybe your starter if it was a Totodile. Hopefully it would be a Croconaw at that point and it could learn Surf. But if not, if you chose a Fire type or even Chikorita, the Grass type, Slowpoke makes an excellent addition to your team for water toughness. And I mean that, water toughness. It acts like a wall. And a wall simply means it can stand strong and take many hits. That's the whole beautiful thing about the Curse ability, or not ability, but Curse move, is that it works differently with Ghost types and Psychic types. Ghost types, it just stabs a nail into their face and it is cursing, sending a curse onto an afflicted opponent. Or it afflicts a curse on the opponent, rather, I should say. But with Curse on any other type of Pokemon, it lowers the speed, raises the attack and defense of that Pokemon. So when we get bitten by a Shellder, and my Slowpoke evolves into Slowbro, it's going to be a tank. It's already mopping the floor with these Geodudes and any ground types that it comes across. But I will remind you, it's all about balance. You're not going to find the prime Pokemon in just one Pokemon. You need a whole team supporting your efforts to get to the Elite Four. It's Dana Lass. DeoGenZ, it's me. My Psyduck's getting pretty tough. Listen, if you don't have a Thunderstone, don't call me. I wish you could put voicemail on the phone. This way, you could tell if it's worth listening to. Alright, is she talking about Thunderstones? No? Don't need to call back. Okay. I'll talk to you guys next time in Mahogany Town.